Jet lag. Okay, I'm going to start as Muslims do in the name of God. In Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. To proceed, I greet you all with the warmest greetings of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, which basically means, may the peace and blessings of the Almighty of God be upon you all. Usually you're supposed to respond at this point. I've been speaking for 3 hours and traveled here. Actually, I've been speaking for more than that because I spoke in the morning. And speaking for 3 hours. And you couldn't reply to that? So sad. I'm only kidding. Right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we're going to talk about a very important topic. And that topic is Islam in the West. Okay? And I think it's very important to start speaking about this now and articulating a positive case for our tradition, or for what our tradition, Islam, has done for the world. Because if you see, recently, you see in the media that there was a particular film or a vile insult, a degradation against our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon whom peace. And we noticed that people were using, especially politicians, they were using this whole facade as just another excuse to try and defend freedom of speech. And I have some distinct opinions on this issue. They are philosophical, so you have to bear with me. I disagree that this issue is freedom of speech. I think that's absolute crazy rubbish. And the reason I'm saying that is because let's call a spade, and for crying out loud, every single nation, whether it's the most liberal in Northern Europe, to the most secular in France, to the soft secular in the United States, has restrictions to freedom of speech. It's in there. Study law, it's in there. Let me give you some of them. Perjury, contempt of court, hate speech laws, product defamation laws. And it goes on and on and on. So to claim that we can't say much about this because the protection of freedom of speech, frankly, I think it's just a smokescreen. It's a smokescreen to be duplicitous. And let me tell you why. And we have to be honest here. I'm not being overtly ideological. I'm just calling a spade a spade. Take France, for example. France, for instance, they sacked a magazine cartoonist for writing something against Sarkozy's son. His relationship between his wife, he claimed that he did it for money and fame, and he was lambasted and chucked out, and basically he was let to hang and dry because of political sensitivities. Also, we have, for instance, in France, where they apologized recently to the Duchess of Kent for basically taking photos and not public, or trying to publish them, and they shouldn't because, you know, it was wrong. So the point is, I'm really saddened that people are trying to expect me to accept that we live in a civilization where it's okay to degrade and insult in such a vile manner someone else's tradition. I mean, is this civil discourse? Is this civilization? If anyone studies political theory, for instance, if you study the works of John Stuart Mill, who's like the founding father for freedom of speech, if you like, if you study his works properly, you will see that he said speech, or the liberty to express oneself without hindrance, is necessary for the competition of ideas. And those competition of ideas is to have truth, justice, and accountability and knowledge. Now those are fine objectives, they're excellent. But my point is this, and think about this new point. Does freedom to insult and to degrade and to be vile, is that necessary for freedom of speech? Number one. Number two, if you claim it is necessary, then I think you're shooting yourself in the foot. Because to be violent and degrade goes against the very objectives of freedom of speech. It's so simple. For example, say Stephen Hawking, the famous physicist, wanted to basically articulate string theory in physics, and he started showing you pornographic imagery. You're going to get his string theory approach? No. It goes against knowledge, very objective of what he's trying to do. Imagine President Obama, if he gets re-elected, and he sits there with his big white smile, and he starts rapping and swearing. Doesn't that go against the very objectives of what he's trying to do? Just think about it. Imagine I want to account President Bush for, say, I don't know, collateral damage in Iraq or something, right? And the way I account him, I say to him, you smell, you look like a chimpanzee, you're so stupid, even a single-celled organism is more intelligent than you. Not that I mean that, of course. But imagine if I said that. Am I going to be accounting him? Is that good accountability? No. So we see, with these basic examples, I know there's grey areas, there's discussion, deeper than that, I accept. But this is such an extreme example. We should be able to condemn it and say it's nothing to do with freedom of speech. This is not civil discourse. It's a shame. It's a disgrace. And we need to expose this as human beings of conscience. If anyone's rational, then you would agree with the points I've made. So if you think there's something more nuanced, then let's have that discussion. I don't mind. But I think this is a strong argument. Degrading, vile insults go against the very objectives of speech. Full stop. There's no claim absolute freedom. Every nation has restrictions. So I wanted to mention that because it relates to Islam and the West. However, this doesn't mean, though, by the way, that Muslims should go start killing people and killing ambassadors, yeah? That is totally forbidden in Islamic discourse. And it's even forbidden in the rules of engagement when Islam talks about things like fighting and talked about things like the Geneva Convention, because we believe Islam predated the Geneva Convention because it laid down rules, compassionate rules, if there is such a thing, compassionate rules in war. Like not killing innocents or women or children or monks, etc., etc. Not even cutting trees. We can't even cut down trees. So it's important to raise this issue. And this links to my whole discussion because one of the reasons why people have this rubbish, this vile degradation, is because they don't know who Muhammad is, upon whom be peace. For example, would they do this to Gandhi? Or to one of the founding fathers of America? That's blasphemous, yeah? Especially in this nation. Imagine doing that, right? You just can't do that. Or burning the American flag in this country. I think it's illegal, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. Although one could argue that's a freedom of expression. Don't get me wrong, we shouldn't burn anyone's flags. The Quran tells us, don't insult their deities so they don't insult your deities. Because in a way, a flag is like a deity. It's like an act of worship from that perspective. I'm not saying that in a belittling way. Acts of worship in the Islamic intellectual discourse means the thing that you love the most, the thing that you take as an authority, and the thing that you go to for need and help. So a flag, from that perspective, from a patriotic perspective, philosophically, is an object of worship. And I'm not saying that in a degrading way, I'm saying that in a rational way, according to the principles expounded by the Quranic discourse. So, questions after, sir.
It just interrupts. You can burn the flag in this country.
Oh, you can? Okay, cool.
And it's freedom of speech. I just wanted to, I didn't mean
I think in some states you can't, though. Some states you can't.
In the generalizing, there was actually a Supreme Court decision.
Oh, was there? Yeah? Okay. Oh, that's good news then.
So
but don't burn flags.
Right.
No one burn flags, please, okay? It's insulting. Right. But point made. You get the point I'm trying to make. Thank you for that, sir. God bless you. So, they don't know who Muhammad is, upon whom be peace. And I want to articulate how Islam made the West. Now you may think, man, this guy is crazy. You know? He's got a British accent, but he's crazy. Yeah? Now I want to articulate that in a way that would help you understand that Islam is part of the American tradition. That Islam is part of your life, whether you like it or not. It is tough. You can't run away from facts. Let's call a spade a spade. And let me articulate this for you. I'm going to give you 3 reasons. 3 reasons. Reason number 1, progress, scientific revolution. Reason number 2, the presumption of innocence. Reason number 3, justice and tolerance. All of these 3 things are key values in our Western tradition. Is as a result of this man that we degrade and we insult Muhammad, upon whom be peace. And I don't blame them, because they are a narrative and a product of Fox News and the Bill O'Reilly show. that very unnuanced soundbite, wrong, fallacious argumentation. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that just because they're on the right. Yeah, on the right, it doesn't make no difference. People on the left are as fallacious as people on the right. So I'm not talking from a political perspective. Again, let's call a spade a spade.